As you start to work with the Pfaff Expression 3.5 sewing machine and going through all these videos, you're noticing how much you are learning. Plus, you're also finding stitches that you absolutely fall in love with. But when they're set up at their default setting, so just for example, if I pick stitch number 54, and maybe I've made it a little bit wider, maybe even a little longer than what our original setting is, there is a way to save this stitch into your memory or into the sequencing part of the machine. So these 4 buttons are all part of the sequencing area, but if we just have a stitch on the screen and we touch the heart with the arrow pointing into it, it will get us to a place that says Save Personal Stitch. So you do see you have 10 spaces, and if you touch OK, what it'll do is save this stitch at those exact settings. So instead of writing it on a sticky note or having to come back later and trying to remember what settings were your favorite, you can actually put those stitches into the memory. So to get out of here, touch the heart with the arrow pointing into it, and let's just go ahead and we'll do one more. So let's do, I'm just randomly picking a different decorative stitch. Stitch number 102, and then we're going to make this much longer, so it's very obvious that it's beyond its normal settings. Let's save that, touch the heart with the arrow pointing into it. It automatically picks the next available space, so let's touch OK. All right, so we've saved these. How do we actually use them? So let's get out of the saving area, touch the heart with the arrow pointing into it to come on out, and we're going to just go back to a straight stitch. We're going to just pretend we turned our machine on this morning and we want to retrieve those stitches that we're going to use today that we saved yesterday. So start by going over to the heart. That's where all the fun stitches are, and it says Load Menu. If you had stitches that you had combined together, that's considered sequencing. But if you arrow over to the personal stitch, those are the stitches that would be the ones you created and saved at your new settings. So when you actually touch OK to load the stitch, shows you a little picture of the heart, and those settings are what you had saved them as. Let's go ahead and go to that other personal stitch that we did, the number 2. We really made that super long. And see, that stitch remains the long setting that we had preset and saved. So same as before, if you wanted to come back in and delete out any of these stitches, you can push C, and that would delete out a stitch that you no longer need to keep in your personal stitch menu. So there is lots of things that you can do, and sure beats having to try to remember what your favorite settings were for some of those favorite stitches.